In this trade, you can see in the A period, we had that big move down into yesterday's range. We swept the settlement there. And then we started pushing back up, and they were kind of seesawing back and forth on that 60-50 level. And I waited for this last push. Looked like there's some pretty good volume behind that on the 5 minute chart, some decent momentum. So I entered in there. And the first place I'm looking is this the overnight POC. That's just above the A period there. And this is about 4 times the normal speed. So things are moving a lot slower than what it looks like in this video. But I thought if we could get to that POC, I'd like to take one off in there. And then obviously, if you look at the session profile and the right side of the profile chart there, I was looking at that 660 level. And then depending on how we, get moving, I would try, if we could overtake that level and then, just keep working my way up. So like I said, this is about 4 times the regular speed. So things weren't moving as fast as it looks here. So I expected there to be a little bit more enthusiasm when we got back up over that 650. You can see it's pulling back a little bit here, but it's working. It's doing what I wanted to do, but just not as I thought there would be a little bit more aggression towards it, towards getting back to the high. But as we get up to A period here, it gets right to that POC, takes that first target out right there. Now I'm trying to get to this 660. And the way this is kind of struggling, um, like I said, this is sped up, so everything's happening a lot faster. I'll start taking targets off when we get to that 660. And if you look at that profile on the right side of the chart, you can see how it kind of the thickest part or the biggest part of the node, the thick node kind of starts to fade off at that 660 level. So that's the area that I'm looking at. If we would have just kept pushing through here, I would have been a lot more confident because I'd like to, just have it push up, overtake the level. And it didn't do that. So I started taking off contracts here, especially right there, how it came right to the level. I just went ahead and took that last one off. Now we'll see how it, I want to see how it acts with this level, but I didn't like how it came right to the level and started fading off on me there. And I think that, basically where I have my stop, that's the, it shouldn't go any lower than that. I really don't think it should be under that POC, honestly. But I was giving it just a little bit of extra room. It's only B period. Here's the break of that level. Then I think right there, I probably should have just closed it there and been done with it. But considering that I had already closed out the other contracts, if I would have had 2 at this point, I definitely would have taken one off right there. But because I already closed those out, this is kind of the last one. I kind of wanted to see if we could get over this level and then come back and retest it, and then start pushing up into that higher nodes heading towards the 60-70. I could have, I was just kind of waiting to see what was going on with this here. And because I already had taken those other ones off, I felt more comfortable there. I adjusted the stop. Now I definitely don't think we should be basically a loss of that 660. I would want to close this. I kind of right here, I thought it was going to take off. So it's doing pretty much what I thought it was doing. That's my 40 ticks. If we got up over that, I wouldn't want to give that back. And at this point, I don't want to give back under that 660, which works out to about my 20, I think it's about 27, 28 ticks. But, those kind of coordinate where you shouldn't really give back the 660 at this point. And it is my 27 ticks. And then if we got up over that 40, I just like to know where that level's at, because if we get up there, towards that 60, 65 or something, then I'm just not going to give back the 40 ticks, especially when it's moving like this. And it, you had that C period open right here. I feel like there's a really good chance we're going to come back and fill those singles. So I move that stop up a little tighter. It almost seems like it's going to take off. So I give it one last chance to kind of break over the 40 tick mark there. I just went ahead and closed that one. So then this next trade, we didn't fill the singles in that C period. We come back, so I didn't take that trade. And here with the D period, it's really fallen off. So I'm looking for a major level down here. And again, I'm looking at that 560.50 level. And it does a really nice sweep, kind of touches the VWAP and catch it on the way back through. This is moving so fast. I only put one contract in here. I thought there was a chance that it would kind of come back and maybe test that RTH VWAP, which is the dot line there. It just never does. So I just run with the one contract. I'm trying to get back to the POC. And one thing I noticed on this trade, or if you were taking this trade, is see how it's stepping down. You had where you pushed up, that was in the pre-market, and then it kind of fell off here. So you're starting to step down. So this was kind of, we end up getting back to basically the level that I want, which is at 660. But after this, it definitely starts stepping down. So that's kind of a shift. That's where I started shifting my, how I was looking at the structure. Then I started fading trades back to the 60-50. Then you had a couple nice shorts in there. But because at this point they were defending that, 60-50, at this point, I was still thinking up. But right here, when this trade couldn't get back to it, and then you had the next time period open, it creates another step down. And that's when I started shifting the other direction. And I think looking back at this, I should have closed that first time that we were up there. But this second time, I'll go ahead and close this off when we get close.